Yeah, you're not going to get a great payout for this one, but at minus 180, I think you're actually getting a pretty good deal on Atlanta over Cincinnati here. The Reds have just been emptied out over the winter. There is not all that much left there. Nick Castellanos gone in free agency. Jesse Winker, Eugenio Suarez traded from that lineup, although maybe Suarez isn't the biggest loss there. Sonny Gray, too, on the pitching side. Even minor losses, Tucker Barnhart, Amir Garrett, Wade Miley. The team is just lost, a third of the active roster and many of the best players on that roster. And they're going up against the reigning champs here. I don't think anybody necessarily thinks the Braves are clearly the top team in baseball, but they're, in that top tier or tier 1B going up against a team that isn't going to do much. Tyler Mahle for the Reds is, one of the best remaining Reds. He's a good pitcher, maybe not opening day starter for too many teams. High threes ERA kind of guy, but he is worse, I think, than Max Fried, who had a 3.04 ERA, which was maybe better than the ERA estimators, but not by a ton. He's not much of a strikeout guy, but he doesn't walk anybody, and he keeps the ball on the ground well. I think he's got a pretty decent advantage over Mahle, and the lineup is quite a big advantage as well. I think this could easily be minus 200 or more in Atlanta's favor.
Garion, what's your favorite run line or money line bet?
Yeah, I think I'll just take the Guardians minus 125. Sort of to Eric's point earlier, I think the name value of Zach Greinke is maybe getting a little too much respect in this particular spot. I think this is one of those games that if we see a similar pitching matchup or this exact pitching matchup in like June, the Guardians are going to be minus 200 favorites. I'm just out on Zach Greinke this season. I think he's cooked. The strikeout rate plummeted last season. Maybe there aren't like a huge amount of like great right-handed bats in this Cleveland lineup, which is really what gave Greinke issue last season. But I do just think that the pitching matchup is so heavily sided towards Cleveland. And while I do think the Royals lineup is better than people are giving it credit for, like I said, I think this should probably be minus 160, minus 170. Maybe even just take a look at the first five. It's minus 135 for the Guardians if you're really just in on this because of the starting pitching matchup.
All right, Maddie.
Well, I'll break the tie between Erik and Garion on JT Brubaker. Let's just talk about him again. And I'll take the Pirates plus 155. Unfortunately, this line was higher last night, so it has come down a bit, but I still think there's a little bit of value left. And the key point for Brubaker, yes, he's pretty bad against lefties, but this Cardinals lineup today has 7 right-handed hitters and 2 switch hitters, so functionally 2 lefties. He's getting a predominantly right-handed lineup, which is really good for him. And then on the other side, Adam Wainwright is 40 years old, and he burned me so many times over the past couple of years, just exceeding expectations in spots where I thought he wasn't going to be that great. But now he's 40, and this has to be, it just has to be at least a little bit of regression for him in terms of how he pitches this year. And then the Cardinals offense, I just don't think is that great anyway. So all of this adds up to me. Yes, the Cardinals are the better team. They probably have the better pitcher on the mound, but the margins are much closer than the odds are giving it credit for. So I think the Pirates do have a real shot in this game.